Hey, welcome to the Sharpe Way show, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. Many of you are probably watching some news show or something or other. I hope you'll take a few seconds to tune in to this show. This is a special. I really want to talk about what's happening right now in D.C., what we should be looking for in the future, and what this actually means for what will wind up being the only real opposition to the Democrats coming up here, right? I actually didn't think the Democrats would win both Georgia seats. I didn't think that was going to happen. I didn't think they'd win both. I thought maybe one, but now it looks like they're going to win both. So what do we do now? What's that next step? How is there anything that we should be doing? I get the protests. I understood the protests, after George Floyd too. I understood the protest. I did. I always get them. I feel all the time like there's no recourse, like it's not fair. I ran an election. I thought that wasn't fair either. And I got my butt kicked and I lost. And I felt the same pain, the same anger. I felt all of that. Of course I did. But if you remember, I've been speaking about this. For the past 2 years, I've been talking about the idea of sporadic violence. I mentioned that. I said no matter who wins, I said it doesn't matter whether Trump wins or Biden wins, there will be sporadic violence. And here it is, sporadic violence. That's what was going to happen. And it's not done, right? It's not done. But the biggest thing that we have to think about here, and this is mostly a question or maybe a conversation with those people who self-identify as Republican. If you're a Republican and you're saying to yourself, my God, it's bad because they've stolen the election. And my God, it's bad because, these things are happening. I get it. I get the frustration. I get that. I'm going to ask you, though, is it helpful to do what happened today? While it may feel good and feel righteous, and remember when I was about the other protests, I was like, it feels good, it feels righteous. Let's turn over a car. It feels good. But man, it doesn't do the job at all. It's not helpful. When I said that it's time to regroup, someone on my Facebook page said, yeah, did George Washington retreat and regroup? Yes, multiple times. George Washington lost many battles. He retreated, regrouped, and then he won the war. This is one battle. And for some of you who really love Trump, I get it. You have to think to yourself, is he bigger than the party or the movement of the opposition? If you think yes, then you need to get your man to understand that sometimes you lose a battle, you retreat, and you regroup. If you think no, then you better find another leader. In both cases, it's a problem. The current leadership is not doing his job in moving the movement forward. And if you think I'm exaggerating or making that up, I warn many of you who are Trump supporters. I said without question that after yesterday, after the election, that the Republican Party was going to abandon Trump. I told you that. I said the people won't, right? The people who love Trump are still going to love Trump, right? They still love him. I get that. What I'm saying is I'm talking the party infrastructure of the Republican Party, the infrastructure. I told you they were going to abandon him. People thought, oh, you're crazy, Larry. They love Trump. They don't. The establishment never liked Trump and still doesn't like Trump. And sadly, for Trump supporters, this is the impetus that they need to now completely turn on Trump. And they will. They will completely turn on him. You will watch all the people who were thinking about supporting him, just all the establishment. Sorry, let me be clear on that. All the establishment people who were thinking about supporting him are going to abandon him now. And what I'm saying to you, if you're a Republican, I'm a libertarian. I'm not effective at my party. My group is simply not effective at fighting back Democrats. It isn't. I wish we were. Maybe you can come join us and help us. But Republicans are the only people right now who can do it. If you don't retreat and regroup and prepare for the second wave that's coming and to prepare for a counterattack, you are just making your own people weaker. And that's why I said, accept that this battle is lost. The war is not over. The battle is lost. If you think Trump is still the answer for your movement, then get him to regroup so he can support you when the second Democratic wave comes and when you want to counterattack. If he's not, accept that too and find a new leader. The Democrats had a big advantage after Obama went down. They had tons of leaders who were sitting there waiting to grab the Obama mantle, right? Tons of them was ready to go, and had tons of people did all of that. Trump is a big personality, and he's squelched most of the Republican leadership outside of himself. There aren't many strong Republican leaders right now who are going to pick up that mantle. So either get Trump to regroup or find somebody. Either of those are the right answer. Allowing him to be the martyr for your party is the wrong answer. That I'm sure of. You can always come libertarian. We're ready to take you. You know we're ready to take you. Come on in, ready to take you. 100%. But just understand where you are. I'm not saying that all is lost. I don't believe that. And I know Republicans right now, a lot of them are like, that's it, it's over. Look, at least you still have your general. Trump is still there, right? He still has power. He can still do things. He can. A lot of libertarian generals, they don't have any power, right? We can't bring Gary Johnson back to do anything. I love Gary Johnson. We can't bring him back. Joe Jorgensen is going to come in and take over or do something. That's not going to happen. We don't have that. You at least have that. You have the other people in your party that you can find somebody. But the issue to remember here is what happened today. All the Republicans turned on him. Fox News called them the mob. The cops turned on them. Other Republicans turned on them. Pence turned on Trump. I told you they would turn. You guys didn't believe me. They all turned on him today. They've turned on him. This battle's over. You have to think about the war, the bigger piece to this. I don't want us to surrender at all. I don't want libertarians to surrender. I don't want Greens to surrender. I don't want anyone to surrender. I am not a fan of one-party rule. I live it in New York State right now. I live it in New York State right now. I warned you guys. I know what happens in New York happens in the country. It's happening now. Now, some of you are saying, but Larry, this is terrible. Oh my God, the elections are fixed. Okay, maybe they are. Maybe they're terribly fixed. Okay, then fix them. That's what I'm saying. Now is the time. Then fix them. If you could actually fix them, and then the rest of the country goes, oh my God, you were the guys who fixed them, we all come back. But if you say, no, Larry, it's unfixable. Now, some people tell me that. It's unfixable, Larry. It's unfixable. If it is unfixable, then this movement also doesn't work, right? Your goal can't be to fight a battle that you can't win. Your battle has to be instead to fight a battle of hearts and minds, to change people's minds so they'll agree with you. I know, I do it every day. The pain that many of you Trump supporters are feeling, I know, I feel it. I've had to fail and fall back and regroup and try to get more people on my side with no real power. I've had to do that. I get it. Libertarians do it all the time. If you're a Trump supporting Republican, just accept the battle's over, regroup, and decide for yourself. Is Trump more important than the party? If he is, I got it. Then fix him. If he's not more important than the party, then find someone else. But I don't want you to quit. I don't want you to walk away. I don't want you to think, oh my God, the world's ending. It isn't. This is repairable. I've been here before. So have most libertarians. We've been here before. So I hope that was at least clear what I was trying to get at. This idea, if Republicans support this, if they support what happened in D.C. today, they risk becoming exactly what they denounced this summer when the Democrats were out doing it. They become exactly what they denounced, right? You don't want to do that. You don't want to become that. You become that, you lose all the moral high ground goes away. If you lose the moral high ground, you lose the argument. You will see all the time. I try my best to retain the moral high ground. You need to also. It's critical to do that. There is no heir apparent for Trump anymore. That's for sure. We don't know who the next person is, right? We don't know, right, who that person is. Well, Republicans, time to start figuring that out, because here's what I'm sure of. In the establishment, Trump is going to have no power after tomorrow. There's actually talk of the cabinet trying to get rid of him. That's not going to happen. But that's how bad it is. There's a talk of that, and we're going to censor him. None of that's going to happen. But he's going to have no real power anymore in the government. However, he is going to still have power across the country because the individual Republicans will still support him. The establishment won't, and that's clear. They never really did. They did when it suited them, but they don't now, and then they're not going to in the future. Those days are over. The question is, what will you do as Republican? What will you do? And I hope at least you will say that what happened in D.C. was the wrong answer. That was the wrong answer. Not because you don't feel frustrated or not because things aren't bad. It was the wrong answer because it's not helpful. It's the wrong answer because it makes other people hate you. It's the wrong answer because it gives people a reason to say, I don't want to talk to you anymore. All of that. That's the reason why it was the wrong answer. Let me grab a couple of comments and questions. I want to be able to hear what you guys are thinking. Charles, Larry, I knew this was going to happen. Me too, Charles. I did too. Absolutely. Yes. Candle Jack, all-time prime opportunity for libertarians to make inroads. The worst Republicans and Democrat elements will undoubtedly emerge in this climate. Libertarians need the right leadership so we can step up. This is a valid point, brother. This really is. It wasn't like the Democrats had wonderful leadership here either. I mean, I know I'm saying Republicans because it was obviously them today, but it's not like they had great leadership either. It isn't like they weren't doing the same stuff over the summer, right? I mean, I'm being fair here, right? And it made Democrats look really bad, and they lost the moral high ground, and now it's happening here. Just because it's your side doesn't mean the results aren't the same. They are the same. Look, I want more people to come to us. Of course I do. I'm just being realistic, right? I'm being realistic. I want people to stay engaged. If they're not engaged, they don't come to us either. They just go, shut down and sit in their homes. COVID fatigue is devastating us. And I said this the other day. If you're paying attention, you heard me say it. The reason why there were so many people turning from, it's so funny I said this, I'm going to say it again now. People, when they were out there protesting, right, because of George Floyd's death, why were so many people protesting? They didn't have to go to work the next day. How could they protest for 6 days in a row? They don't have to go to work, so they can stay out and protest. When you're sitting in your home, 30 million Americans, at that point, for about 4 months, back then, now a whole lot longer, but about 4 months, with no purpose, with no goal, when someone goes, hey, why don't we go burn down the post office? You go, yeah, great idea. And you do it. How do I know that? That's what happened, right? That's what happened. Let's go burn down the church. Yeah, let's go do it. That's what happens when you have no purpose, when you're lost, when you're upset, when you think there's no recourse. That's what people do. You give them a purpose and a job. They don't do that. Well, guess what? Have all the jobs come back yet? No. There's a bunch of people who still aren't working. And what are they doing now? They don't feel there's no recourse. So they go down to D.C. And when someone goes, let's go take over the Capitol, they go, yeah, good idea. Yes. I am not, and I'm going to be clear on this, I am not validating the rioters in the summer. I'm not I'm validating the mob that walked into the Capitol. I'm not validating it. What I'm saying is it was predictable and preventable and not helpful to either side. This is not the way to make things happen. That's what I'm saying. And I really hope that libertarians can pick up that slack, because we're here, because we do hear when you feel oppressed. We do fear when government steps in. We do fear, we do want you to be able to protest any way you want, whenever you want. Of course we want that. Come to us. We're happy to have it. So same old, nothing will change. Rick, there's a part of me that agrees with you completely. There is. And this is the other worry I had. About a week ago, someone posted on the page, yeah, but Biden is the perfect guy to get back to normalcy. And the guy was right. I forgot his name, but the guy was right. If you want to go back to the old ways, Biden's the perfect choice. I just don't want to go back to the old ways. I don't want to go back to that. But yes, he's the perfect guy. If you want to go back to the same old garbage you've had, yes, he's the perfect guy for that. Absolutely. And the problem is now with what's happening with Trump supporters, and the Republican Party is going to completely be like, Trump who? Nope, bad guy. When that begins to happen, they're going to go out of their way to erase him. And they won't be able to. He has too much power. They're not going to just erase him. But they're going to try, guaranteed. But now he has to become Tea Party 2 or something like that, which I don't think Trump can be Tea Party 2. Because I think Tea Party 2, if I understand it right, is actually not about Trump. It's about creating a separate entity other than Trump to win. That's what I think Tea Party 2.0 is about. So is he going to compete now with Tea Party 2.0 on top of it? I think what's going to happen is Republican Party is going to go back to its old school party. It's not going to be a rebellious party anymore. It's not going to be a Tea Party anymore. It's going to be its old school party, just like Democrats going to be. And you're right, Rick. I hope you're wrong. But I think you're right. So, hey, Andrew, good seeing you. Well, history happening in front of us. I think that is true. Absolutely. We're screwed entirely. I hope you're wrong, Julian. I hope you're wrong. I think this is repairable. If we stop doing the damage, right? Stop throwing. If the more people we throw into this meat grinder, and that's what it is, they're going to start arresting people and putting people in jail. And then those people are no longer fighting with us anymore. They're done, right? So fall back. You can do a withdrawal. Literally, George Washington lost his first, 2 or 3 battles? I forgot the actual details. I'm sure someone will correct me. He lost his first 2 or 3 battles, and he retreated, and he regrouped, and he won. I don't think we're screwed. I hope you're wrong. Let's be smart about this. Sometimes you have to accept a defeat. I did in my life. I've accepted defeats. In politics, I've accepted defeats. We have to keep going. So, hey, Mike, how are you? Rather watch you. Thank you, Donna. I appreciate that. Absolutely. Yes. Let's see. There was a 4 SM voter dump. I'm not sure what SM means. Joe, help me out with that. I'm not sure what that means. I know one thing for sure. This election adversely affects the returns as well. Also true. Dwayne, you're right. Also true. Why do you think I'm talking about it? Yes, of course it affects me. Of course it does. It affects all of us. And with that in mind, what's best for the future, right? Joe just brought up a voter dump. Maybe that's true, right? But Mitch McConnell, the leader of the Republican Party, called all of this, his words, utter nonsense. That's what he said. That's the leader of the Republican Party right now. He said utter nonsense. So even if you're right, Joe, and before I haven't gone into that rabbit hole. I can't go into that rabbit hole. So maybe there's voter fraud. Maybe there's not. Maybe it's horrible. Maybe it's not. Okay. No one in the establishment, Republican or Democrat, is buying it. They're not buying it. The establishment is not buying it, which means as a general rule, now even the media is not. Even Fox News isn't buying it. They're saying things like, "Oh, wrong." There's, it's not real. They're saying it now too. Georgia Republicans are saying it now too. So let's say it's a massive. Let's say the Republican Trump supporters are correct, and it's a massive, massive conspiracy. Maybe it is. Okay, you're not getting over it by throwing 300 people into the Capitol. That's not going to do it. You're going to validate the conspirators. It's not helpful. So even if Joe is right, I don't know, right? But even if he is, it's not helpful, right? When I ran, there were things that were completely unfair in my race. I've mentioned them many times. Did I get angry and go to the Capitol? No, it wasn't going to work, and I wasn't going to win, right? If you're asking me if I think that Trump actually lost the election, I do. I think he did lose the election. I could be wrong, but I've been telling you the country's been going left. I've been seeing it in my own state, even upstate. I've been seeing the country shift left for 10 years. Not a lot, but it keeps shifting. And that's why the country is about 51, 49. It's about that now. It is shifting left and still going. The hope is with COVID, it'll come back to a middle ground. That's the hope. That's the hope. But that's been happening since 2009 at least. So a lot of people, they are going there. And the problem with, I say all the time, the problem with Trump is he's a big personality. So he's easy to love and easy to hate. Easy to love, easy to hate. And if you hate Trump, man, do you hate Trump. I know a lot of New York State Republicans who are Republicans and vote Republican, but man, they hate Trump. It does happen. So I'm asking you to think about what's helpful. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean. All right. This is the only reason I voted for Republicans, so I'm all in with libertarians. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. I love it. Absolutely. Yes. Are we even going to have checks and balances now? They run literally everything. Yes, Michelle, you're right. And this is what I was talking about, right? I know I don't mean to be the I told you so guy. But man, I'm the I told you so guy. I didn't want New York State, Michelle, our state is that right now. And what happens when this happens, when it's one party rule? The Republicans exist in our state. For those who don't know, Republicans exist in New York State. And locally, they often win. Locally. Statewide, non-existent. Non-existent. So the assembly, courts, governorship run by Democrats completely. And it's not a good place to live. And there's no real opposition. The Republicans are not real opposition in my state. They're not. They're not real opposition in my state. If you know New York State Republicans, they are not set up in any way to be real opposition. They yell and scream sometimes, but no opposition. Now we have that at the national level. If we don't find someone to be opposition, there is none, Michelle. Your fear is my fear. Yes. Yes, absolutely. So I will come to New York and storm the governor's mansion. They try and put the screws to you. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. Absolutely. Yes. Larry over here with empathy. Libertarians. The most important trait of them all, James, is trying to understand how other people feel. Right? Most people will tell you, you got to get out there and vote. And what they mean is vote for my guy. Of course, I want you all to vote for my guy or my gal. Of course I do. But more importantly, stay engaged, because if you don't stay engaged, I don't get your vote either. So I want you to stay engaged. Please stay engaged, and hopefully you'll come to my side. I hope now, but if not now, later. But stay engaged. Absolutely. This is a pretty level-headed dude who campaigned. Oh, thank you, Joe, for that nice words. Thank you. Absolutely. All right. The Libertarian Party as a whole has the best chance to make a difference by infiltrating the GOP/RNC, just like commies did to the DNC and Dems. A lot of people say that, and I'm unsure, Caleb. And to be forward with you, I think Trump is proof that that may not be true. And I think Justin Amash is proof that may not be true. Right? Justin Amash is one of the people who started the Liberty Caucus in the Republican Party. And he said it doesn't work. He had to leave. Trump was clearly a rebel. I mean, I'm Captain Obvious here, right? Clearly a rebel in the Republican Party. And they pushed him out too. I mean, you're going to see after today, everyone's going to be, they were going to bail on him anyway after Georgia, because what Republican establishment knew is that the average Republican did still support Trump, but the establishment never did. So they wanted to keep the average Trump supporter happy, so they'd vote in the Georgia election and hopefully get those 2 seats. After that, they were going to dump Trump anyway. The establishment was already going to do that. They just knew that the average voter still supported him. Now this happened, they're going to dump him today. You're going to watch those, 12 or 13 Congress people are supposed to, defend Trump for the election. Won't be that number. I don't know how many, but it won't be that number. They're going to stop bailing on him. So maybe, Caleb, but look, I want people to win, and I want libertarians to win. If you're going to infiltrate, maybe it hasn't seemed to work. I'm open to the idea, but it just hasn't seemed to work. That's really good, So it's helpful. Dano, I'm not sure, right? How is it? It seems to me that kind of what happened today, all it does is take anyone who was on the sidelines and it makes them angry. And they now go, I'm not part of that. Now, I'm going to tell you why I feel this, and it's because of me as a libertarian, right? What I found is when I was opened up more, when I did more talking, more conversations, I had more impact. More impact. And you might go, Larry, you lost. I did, but I still did better than anyone else in New York State has ever done ever. Than anybody ever. Right? I did the best that libertarians have ever done in New York State. Still lost. The best ever. Why? Because I wasn't that bombastic. I wasn't that aggressive. I was trying to give people actual answers. And I was trying to stay semi in the rules to the best of my ability. And I think that's the way you do it. The more you yell at the other and call them names, the other, meaning the people of the other, the more you do that, the less we want to grow. While I think the people who are in DC did a very bad thing, I don't think they're all bad people. And I know people get mad at me. Oh, you're doing the good people on both sides. Like, no, I'm just saying I don't think they're all bad people. I don't think the people who are protesting in the summer were all bad people either. There were a couple knuckleheads who thought they were doing the right thing and they made stupid mistakes, did bad things. That's true. Yes, that's true. Sad people have died now, right? Is it a 16-year-old girl who's died now? Dano, how is that going to be good for Trump supporters? That is going to be spun like there's no tomorrow. That is going to be spun as if Trump personally shot her. I'm not saying he did. Of course he didn't. That's how it's going to be spun. And the person who is low information and spends most of the time working and doing things for the family and only hears that type, what are they going to think? Trump guy's crazy. He's out of his mind. Oh my God. Now he's killing kids. That's what they're going to think because they're not paying attention. And I'm not saying Trump doesn't have responsibility. Of course he does. All leaders do. Of course he has responsibility. Of course. Did he pull the trigger? No. Are they going to act like he did? Yes. You can guarantee it's going to happen. Absolutely. The current GOP is dead to me. F them and piss in their graves. Cowards and simps. I think a lot of people think the same thing, Brian. I think you're not alone. The question now becomes, I'm asking you and everyone else on this who's watching and listening, please don't check out. If the GOP is dead, find another answer for you or find another leader. Either one, right? Obviously, I want you to become libertarian. But even if you don't check out. There are other answers. Ready for libertarian leadership. I'm in, David. Absolutely 100%. Yes. Mick Foley asked Vince McMahon to throw Donald Trump out of WWE Hall of Fame. Is that true? Oh, man, that would be terrible. I don't know. Donald Trump, for those of you who used to watch WWE, Donald Trump was very funny on that. I mean, he was. I'm just being forward. I'm not trying to give Trump credit or not credit. Actually, I guess I am. He was good. He was good on that. Shouldn't lose his Hall of Fame stats. I don't think he should for that. Yes. So, all right. Only politicians that have donated to outside of Tulsi Gabbard. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. Yes. Rand, Amash, Massey, and Tulsi should create a new party. You know, that's not a bad idea. Or let me give you a crazy idea, Alex. They could all join the Libertarian Party. They could. Imagine if those four joined our party. Now, Amash already has. So what if Rand, Massey, and Tulsi all join? Not a bad deal. We'd have a bunch of press. We'd have real opposition. Two people who are in government now who can fight inside, and two who are out who can fight outside. What an amazing idea, Alex. I'm in. Let's do that. I'm in. 100%. Yes. When was the last time the GOP protested? They protested a lot if you count Tea Party. I'm not sure if you do, Dano. If you count Tea Party, they protested a lot. Tea Party was very active. After it was 8, 9, 10, they were very active. They protested often. And Tea Party people and Trump people protested here and there. Not as much, obviously, the left. But again, Trump was in charge. So Democrats did most of the protesting. When Obama was in charge, Republicans did most of the protesting. I think the GOP still has to keep protesting. Biden, of course. The problem is if this is what's there, if this is their answer to protesting, that's a problem. That's a problem. So, yes. Hey, Democrats, how do protests look now? Yep. Trump is more important than GOP. Then you've got to find an answer, Dano, because right now he's losing. This battle is a lost battle. You got to get him and or his people to understand this battle's lost. Retreat, fall back, regroup. Otherwise, he's going to martyr himself. And with that, if he doesn't stop, he's going to martyr himself. And with that, most of his supporters. This is the wrong way to go. Can I help libertarian? I'm sure some of the GOP are not happy now. Can this help libertarians? Can it? Yes. In the meaning, can it grow the party? Sure, it can grow the party. The problem is this election overall, I forgot who mentioned it earlier, is going to hurt libertarians too. We all get hurt by it, right? We all get hurt by it. But can it help the party? It can if people join. Absolutely. I hope they will. I hope they will. Yes. I've been saying that for a long time. The Republican Party is already at 12%. I'm not sure where that is. Oh, you must be versus somebody else. I apologize. Yes. Unfair politics is one thing. Stealing an entire election is treason. I've asked you about election for over a week now. Libertarians had stolen votes too. Yes, I think that's true. But I don't look. Here's the reality. If the election was stolen, right? If it was that corrupt, the same system and most of the same people, not all, but the same system, most of the same people were also here in 2016. Most of them were. If the election was that corrupt, why wouldn't it be that same level of corruption now, right? What's the difference now? Why would now be more or less corrupt? If you're saying, well, wait a minute, it's just, anti-Trump Republicans, if that's the answer. I've heard people say that. Well, then why didn't they do the same shenanigans now and get more Republicans elected to the Senate or take over the House? Why wouldn't they do that, right? If there was such a thing, why wouldn't they do the other thing? And if it is stolen, if the election was stolen, then wasn't Trump's stolen in 2016? And I mean, Trump, we voted. That might be true. Trump actually said, if you look at his quote, Trump literally said, he said, yes, the system is rigged, but I won, so I don't care. That's what he said. That's Trump's words in 2016 after he won. If he believed that and knew it, all I can say, Shelley, is shame on him. If that's true, then he had all the time to fix it. Not just that. The Georgia election was 2 months after the general election. In 2 months, all the Republicans that were involved at the highest level, it's a massive conspiracy with all of them. If that's true, and it's that deep, and that all the top Republicans are in on it, and that's true, this still isn't helpful because you're just fighting the same system. The only way you get around that, if it is that much of a conspiracy, the only way you get around that is by having the average American vote against them, which means changing hearts and minds. That's what that means. How would I know? That's what I do. I'm not just pointing a finger at you. You all know me well enough. I never point a finger at you. Let's point at myself first. It's what I'm doing. Trump supporters, you too. You too. So, the Libertarian Party should replace the GOP ASAP. Then we'd have a duopoly again. Be nice, but the only duopoly I'd be okay with, the only one I'd be okay with, if you had a Libertarian Party versus an authoritarian party. That's the only duopoly I'd be okay with. And we'd be fighting against how much liberty and freedom should we have. That's a good battle to have because I think in the long run we win that one, right? That one I'm okay with. That's the only duopoly I want. That one I think in the long run we win. I hope so. Frustration is no reason to trample on the Constitution because it didn't win the election. I'm a registered Republican, but voted Libertarian this year. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate that. Yes, I agree. Right? The Republican Party is supposed to be the rule of law party, right? The law and order party. This is not helpful. This is not helpful at all. So, Larry, sadly, the Republican Party has died. The way forward for them is unclear. Let's look at local elections. I agree with that too. Absolutely. After today, it's time to bring back true, honest debates. Questions asked by the people, not scripted questions. Oh, interesting idea. So even changing the debate structure. Okay. Oh, that's what I do. I take your questions. So I guess, yeah, okay. And it's not scripted. You guys just put it up. I just put them up. Absolutely. It's time for the people to be able to find out answers to the questions they have. We as the Libertarian Party have to be open-armed for those who might lead the party. Well said, Tommy. Yes. Well said. Sore losers always have to face reality eventually. Yeah, but I don't want them to burn all the bridges on the way down. There are a lot of people, and this is what many people on the left don't want to hear. But I'll tell you anyway, even though you don't want to hear it if you're on the left. Not every Trump supporter is this evil person you've made them out to be. And I know many of my friends are Democrats, and they're like, you're a Trump supporter, and they've got all this, you're a bad guy because you're Trump. Just aren't. It's just not true, right? The more this happens, Tony, the more Trump is seen as a sore loser, the more it validates their negative image of his supporters. So I'm saying it's not helpful. If Trump wants to martyr himself, I hope he doesn't. But if he wants to martyr himself, his supporters shouldn't go down with him, right? When Joan of Arc martyred herself, she went down, right? If you want to martyr yourself, if you want to fall on your sword, fall on your sword. But you don't need to take everybody down with you. And that's my concern. You take the entire movement down with you. So hope they save some energy to fight off Biden's national lockdown. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Pete. Yeah, how about that? Let's do that. I'm in. Yes, let's do that. Absolutely. 100%. People think you have to win all battles to win the war. You're right, they do, and they often want to die on every hill. And this battle is over. At one point, you've got to retreat. You've got to fall back. At one point, you have to understand you've got to fall back. I'll give you the opposite. Vietnam. We won almost every battle. We fought, I think maybe 1 or 2 battles we lost, maybe. Or maybe draws, ties at best. But we won almost every battle. We even won against the Tet Offensive, which was the most horrible fight. We won in Way City, right? I mean, we won all those battles in Vietnam. We lost the war. I'm okay. We can lose a battle. Let's win the war. You are totally correct. And if you constantly want to die on every single hill, you're going to lose all your good people. You can't take that number of casualties. You just can't. It's not how it works. There is no republic, Larry. Andrew, I hope you are wrong. I hope you are wrong. I really do. I hope you're wrong. The Patriots and the Run Republicans are 2 different parties. Oh, interesting. Okay. So then how do you merge that, right? How do you make that alliance work to be real opposition? Or do you wind up just cutting yourself up so much that there is no opposition, right? That's what happens in New York State. You have Republicans who are only concerned about keeping their power, so they kowtow to the governor and give him what they want and then yell and act like they're Republicans when they're not. And then there with some Republicans who actually want to get rid of the governor and make change. And because they've broken themselves up the way you've just said it, Justin, they have virtually no power. And then the average person who may be a low information voter can't tell the difference, right? They can't tell because they're not paying attention. So they can't tell which is which. Also becomes a problem. So I think today Trump abandoned the Republican Party. Oh, okay. If you're saying that, other people are saying that too, Janie. And I think Trump will win that battle. There's too many fed up Republicans. So you think that Trump, when he abandons the party, you think he'll take most of the people with him and that will devastate the Republican Party? Does Trump have the infrastructure for that, right? Trump's used most of his infrastructure through the Republican Party. Those people who are part of the elite in the party, I think they're going to abandon him. The question becomes, does Trump have enough infrastructure to be able to create his own party, his own group? Or does he go off and do something like, start the equivalent of the Blaze, what Glenn Beck's Blaze? Does he do something like that and create the Trump media empire? Does he do that instead? I don't know. I think you're right. Maybe I think he's abandoned the party today. I think it's true. I mean, the Republican establishment has openly called what he says, their words, not mine, utter nonsense. That's what McConnell said. Pence said Trump's out of his mind. Pence said no. Pence turned on him. McConnell turned on him. The establishment has turned on him. So if you're saying that he'll bring Republicans over to him and they'll abandon the party, that's a tough one. I talked, if you remember, I talked to Austin Peterson when he was on the show about something similar. I said, look, Fox News may struggle, right? Because now there are places like Newsmax and OAN for people who love Trump to go to, as Fox has begun to distance themselves from Trump a while ago. They began that. Now they're totally just like, no more. They're distancing themselves from Trump completely now. So people could go to OAN or Newsmax, right, for that. And Austin said to me, no, that people are going to stay with Fox because it's a cultural issue, that people enjoy that. People who watch Fox in the morning, in the afternoon, keep it on during the day. That's a cultural issue for them. I wonder, Janie, is the Republican Party a cultural issue? And will Trump, not take as many as you think? I don't have an answer to that. My gut, though, does tell me the Republican Party, people still are loyal to the GOP. I think that assuming that the GOP can find a charismatic person to replace Trump, and I wouldn't want, if I'm a Republican, I'm not obviously, but if I was a Republican, I would not want to replace Trump. Those shoes are big to replace. But if someone can do it well, I don't know. We'll see. So, Liberty Revolution burned down the Capitol. That's what the British did in 1814. Didn't go well for them either. I don't know. They wound up quitting that war, but I don't know. The split in Republicans, such an opportunity for libertarians. I hope so, John. I hope so. I'm here, talking, Serious question. Do you trust the voting process in the U.S.? Compared to other countries, yes. Are there flaws and problems? Of course. If you remember, I was the one, right, talking about the only actual answer for this mail-in voting thing. I brought this up months ago, right? People just don't, they don't want to hear what I have to say. It's fine. Months ago, I was saying we can find an answer to have safe mail-in voting if we simply use 2 or 3 outside sources. All the money we would spend in the post office, spend with them instead. They can audit at will. They can give us paper stuff. They give us paper at will. They can do this. It's what companies like KPMG, this is what companies like them do that, right? BDO, these companies do it for a living. They could easily have done it to where both the Democrats and Republicans could have talked together and said, what do we want? What will make us feel comfortable? They'd make it transparent. They have to. They're accounting firms. If they screw up, they literally go to jail. Their people will go to jail if they screw up. So the odds are it'd be much better. I think we could make it better. Absolutely. And we should. But compared to other countries, yeah. And the reason why I say it is, it's because most of our elections are done locally, which means for a conspiracy to work, you have to do it locally, right? You'd have to get all of those district people or a bunch of those other people around to all agree and to make it work. Is it possible? Of course it's possible that it's corrupt. Of course it is. But relatively, I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's that bad. When it's a close election, even when you've heard Trump even said it, you got to win by so much that it doesn't matter, right? That's what he even said. Because even he realizes you can't do massive fraud. It's just the amount of money you have to spend, the amount of people you'd have to keep silent. It's virtually impossible. So, Larry, what do you think will happen to America as we know it? Democrats capable of anything. Will America be communist soon? A friend who says things as it is and isn't afraid to speak up says he thinks what happened in DC today will spread through the country in a week. I think your friend is correct. I think there will be more sporadic violence. I think, and I've been talking about this again for months. I think there will be more. I think that's true. There will be some more violence. Do I think it will be enough to turn the country? No, most of the country doesn't want to see this, right? When George Floyd died and there were protests, initially, vast majority of the country was like, this is wrong. We're in. Absolutely. The vast majority of the country was like, yes. Then the violence happened. And they were like, whoa, nope, lost me. Sorry, lost me. I think you'll lose a lot of people. I mean, I was just watching CNN and Fox. Fox is saying it. CNN is saying they're all saying the same thing. And I saw the quotes from the GOP leadership. They're like, nope, not going to happen. So I don't think that this will be an actual movement right now that will actually make real impact. Will there still be desperate people? Yes. When you put desperate people in desperate situations, they do desperate things. So there still will be some more violence. I don't think the country will become communist yet. I don't. I think that there are still enough people who don't want that. I know there is one advantage for Democrats, I think, that they didn't realize. I should say one advantage for the country that most don't realize that happened because of Trump's loss. It will break up the Democratic Party, right? Democrats are already in a civil war. The only thing that kept them all together was their combined hatred of Trump. I mean, if any of you are Democrats watching, if you know Democrats, you know the vast majority of Democrats hate Trump, just hate him. It is vitriolic. It is personal. They just hate him. And that united them. They were like, yeah, whatever to get rid of him. Yes, we hate this guy. Now that he's gone, or soon to be gone, Democrats are going to start fighting each other again. They're going to start fighting each other. So, Andrew, I don't think we're going to go communist. There are, and you've seen some on my show, there are moderate Democrats. They exist. I know them. I've met many of them. There are moderate Democrats, and they're going to say, no, we're not going socialist. No, we're not going communist. We're not doing it. Right? That I think it's going to happen. You're going to see that civil war within the Democratic Party, and that's why I think it won't go, because Democrats don't have that big of a lead in the Senate to where every Democrat has to agree. I don't think so. I don't think so. So how can you counterattack when your voting machines are rigged? I'll tell you, Dano, By having enough people on your side believe in you, enough people, they go, we're changing the system. We're not using those machines. That's how you do it. That you asked how? That's how you do it, right? Or saying, wait a minute, I want an investigation. Enough people do it. If people aren't going to vote against an AG or vote against the governor, unless he does it, that's how you do it. Win hearts and minds. That's how you counterattack. It's what I'm doing now. I'm showing you how to counterattack. That's what I'm doing. Yes. I lost my election, in case you didn't know. I regrouped, retreated, and now I'm counterattacking. That's what I'm doing. So yes, that's how you do it. CNN will be playing these clips for the next 10 years. Yeah, I'm actually not sure about that, Pete. My gut tells me that once Trump leaves office, CNN is going to try to go back to being the plane crash show. I think they're going to go back to that. Trump was very good for CNN. They would act like it wasn't, but Trump was very good for them. They got a lot more advertisers. They got a lot more viewership. COVID was also very good for CNN. A lot more advertisers, a lot more they'll try to keep COVID again for the next X number of months, however long that is, showing that the world's ending and it's the biggest plague in the world. I think this will go away once Trump goes away, assuming Trump goes away, right? I think that I think they'll, if Trump raises his head again, they'll pull back out. They will. See, this is the guy. Oh, that death of that girl, Trump did it. I think they'll do that. I'm with you. Wrong. The populists need to unite. I don't think there are enough populists. I don't think there are. I don't think there are enough populists. I think most people either are checked out. I mean, you can tell that by how many people vote, or just want stuff to be normal. I don't think there are enough populists. So I'm not sure. This is the manifestation of the two-party duopoly factionalism. This is a direct threat to us, Trumpists right and the Antifa left. Interesting way to think about it. Okay, so you're saying that, yeah, I guess in a way I see where you're going with it, right? If each side is so busy saying the other side's evil, then how do you ever come back from that, right? You're basically saying, I mean, this is a problem with Trump's rhetoric, right? Trump spent the early part of the day going, it's all rigged, the world's ending, we're not going to stand for it, don't stop, never give up, blah, blah, blah. And then walked away. And then, of course, the people took that as, well, keep fighting. That's how they took it. And so they went and did, of course. They support Trump. Trump yelled at them, said, do that. They went and did it, of course. Then later he said, no. It was rigged, but go home. He probably should have said that at the rally, right? But he didn't. And since he didn't specifically say, it's rigged, go home, this factionalism told each side, time to fight. Time to fight. I think you're right. It's a very good point. Yes. I'm looking at running for U.S. Senate and Libertarian 2022. Yes, David. Nicely done. It still feels like 2020. Yeah, it does. Yes. Absolutely. So, all right. Am I better off moving to Switzerland? If you want to own a gun, probably yes. But otherwise, no. Do you speak German or French? They speak German and French and Italian in Switzerland, so most German. So if you speak German, I guess yes. Republicans have lost their way. A lot of people feel that way, Michael. A lot of people do. They feel that way. Well, Libertarian, I'm in. Do that. Yes. Hope the Republican Party returns to sound fiscal responsibility and economic freedom. That'd be nice, Tony. I agree. Whether in coalition with Libertarians or on their own. I would take either. Obviously, I prefer Libertarians to run, but if they become more that way, all good. Yes, all good. Yes. Larry never listens to comments. Is that right? I'm literally doing it now. I do it all the time. I don't often do it when I'm doing an interview or when I'm going on a rant, but I listen to comments all the time. That's part of the reason why you get in the show, I think. It's why I do it live, just so I can do it. I don't understand that. Either we condemn violence or we don't. I like that. Leia. It can't go both ways. No double standards. Either it's protesters or it's Antifa. Can't have double standards. No, I'm with you. There are people who are saying, though, that the protesters were really Antifa, people who are sneaking in and such. And, if you want to believe that everything is an Antifa plot, you can. Is Antifa real? Yes. Do they plot? Yes. Is everything Antifa plot? No, not everything is. I think this was motivated, excited Trump supporters who did some stupid stuff they should not have done. This was a mistake. This was bad. And they should withdraw. And Trump should stop the fight. He should go, you know what? This is what Trump should do if you ask my opinion. He's clearly not asking my opinion. But this is what if I was advising him, this is what I would say. Say that the violence today was too much for you. And you realized that even though wrong, blah, 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 it's not worth the damage that's going to be done is not worth the battle now. I accept, even though I don't agree with it, I accept the outcome of the election. Fine, done. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to fix this. All my supporters, come January 20th, we have a new mission. We have a new mission to fix this, and we're going to. He does that. He becomes magnanimous. The people still follow him. He takes the high road. They can't beat him up anymore. Realistically, I mean, they could try, but just only people who already hate him are going to hate him. But even people who are on the fence go like, oh, okay, yeah, do that. I'll do that. That is what I think he should do now if I was advising him. That's what I would say. Just do that. And now he can fight another day versus martyring himself on this battle that he cannot win. This is a battle he can't win. So Trump has divided the party. That's true. Yes. Yes. He was a Democrat for years. He's decisive and was simply an F you to the left. Yes. And I think he actually felt to many people like he was the only defense against socialism. I think people felt that. But he wasn't. There are many Republicans who are against socialism. There are Democrats against socialism also. But he was the guy at the top. Absolutely. Mr. Larry, with all due respect, I love it. Those who choose to abandon you over your thoughts, screw them. I appreciate that, Jonathan. But here's my point. Am I going to lose people over this? Yes, I am. I know that. I hope you come back. I hope those who leave come back and realize that what I'm saying is not an attack on you at all. It's a look at what's real and pain that I've been through too. It's actually, I'm actually giving you ways to salvage this battle, to take what you can from it and grow from it. And if that's Trump, okay. If that's not, okay too, right? You pick your own leader. I'm not against you keeping Trump. I'm not against you getting rid of Trump. It's your party, your movement. You've got to pick who you think the right general is. If Trump, in my view, if Trump won't accept this as a loss, rally the troops that he can rally, regroup to the best of his ability, and then start another offensive, he's not the general for you. If he can do that, he might be the general for you. Otherwise, he's just not. That's my personal view. I'm not a Republican. This is for you to deal with. So I hope so. So yes, Jonathan, I hope they all come back. I've never been afraid of losing people. I mean, I don't like it. I hate losing people. I'm just not afraid of it. I still say what I feel. I still pick topics that I think are important. And some people get upset and they leave. It does happen. People leave because of guests I have on. I'm still going to have them on. It's not going to change who I am. I'm hoping that those of you who stay with me, and if you leave and get mad and you come back a year later or 6 months later, you go, oh yeah, still same guy. I'm still same guy. Absolutely. So why do we require ID for everything but voting? It's a valid question. And the people who get upset about this, and to be clear, I'm happy to bring up voter ID and talk about it. I don't have a problem talking about it. It's an emotional issue, and people attack it logically. You can't attack, well, you can, but to be effective, you shouldn't attack an emotional issue with logic or logical issue with emotion. The problem is voter ID logically actually isn't the problem. It isn't, right? Creating an ID is simple. You don't even have to have a driver's license. You can create a separate ID or use a driver's license. New York City actually literally makes New York City IDs for undocumented workers so they can document them. Some of you don't know that. Yes, we are a sanctuary city. If you are undocumented, you just go down and get a New York City ID. John, they will give you one. Yes. So we can do it. So it's not logical. You might go, logically, it doesn't make any sense. You're right. This is an emotional issue. And it's an emotional issue specifically for Black men and women. Many of them who are old enough still remember those types of rules pushing them out, making it intimidating them, making them feel stupid or less than. And they've told those stories to the people who haven't felt that, right? I know those stories, right? My father was part of that. I know those stories. So it's an emotional issue. So if you're bringing up voter ID, you've got to talk about it emotionally, why it matters, how we can do it safely. If you just do it logically, there's a natural backlash. It just feels like you're doing it to us again. That's how it feels. It's emotional. Logically, Chris, you're correct. Emotionally, it's got to be spun better, or it's not. There's going to be problems. You have to say it in a way that lands well, that doesn't make somebody afraid and get them angry. Politics is emotional, not logical. So I'm not saying you're wrong. It's got to be communicated better, or it's never going to happen. I hope I at least answered your question. These people went voluntarily to protest treason. The violence came from outsiders. I watched people dressed in Antifa black with flag on their blacks like cape. The people against the treasonous election fraud were not violent. Huh. I haven't seen that, Shelley, but I hope that's wrong. Wow, that would be terrible. Okay. Let's see if I can keep going. I've been eyeing Andorra. For those of you who don't know, given we brought up Andorra. Andorra is a very tiny country on the border of Spain and France, if I'm not mistaken. Tiny country, like as big as Manhattan or something. Yes, Andorra. Why not? Head over there. Aren't they like a kingdom or something? Isn't there like a little prince of Andorra or something like that? Monarch or something? Anyway, yeah, tiny country on the border of Spain and France. So, yes. Holy S, I just heard the dumbest caller on C-SPAN. We have a third party, blah, blah, blah. Two-party system is bunk, blah, blah, blah. Hello. Yes, we have a third party. I'm part of it. I'm here. Absolutely. Yes. Let's find out. Bet Cruz is ready to try again. You know, Cruz is actually not a bad choice, to be full with you, right? Cruz, if he's smart, he can really grow from this. Ted Cruz is obviously a conservative, or people get that he's a conservative. So if you're a conservative, you can get behind Ted Cruz, right? So no problem. Trump sometimes had trouble with conservatives, but he had Mike Pence, who also is a true conservative, right? So Ted Cruz doesn't require a Pence. He's a conservative himself. So he can do that. He also supported Trump big time. So maybe he can pull Trump supporters and conservatives. Maybe there's your next Republican leader. Could be. Absolutely. At least Joe Biden won't remember any of this tomorrow. See, there's advantages. See that, Pete? There's advantages. Yes. Larry, how do you know the emperor didn't rig your election? I meant he didn't come out and debate you. Why was he so sure he would win? He may have, Justin, and that is my point. He may have. It's possible. People have told me, well, don't you think you got less votes because of X, Y, and Z? Yeah, look, the actual ballot was rigged against me. And then I mean that. It literally was. I've explained how that actually worked. And we told them they had to reprint it. And they said, no, we're not going to. Go to hell. You have no power. And they're right. I have no power. Me being angry or violent wouldn't have helped. Even though you may be right. What would help? Enough people believing in me and thinking I should be their governor so that they push it so that we change it. That's the answer. I am counterattacking. I am doing what I think is the best way of doing it. Yes. Gary Johnson made a pathetic statement today. He did? See, we don't have any generals like that. We don't have that. Republicans, you have generals. You have colonels. You can find people to lead again. We don't have that. So, yes, absolutely. Well, Pence is planning ahead to 2024, and Frank is logical call. I agree, right? Pence is not going anywhere. The funny thing about it is, of all the people in the Trump world, Pence was the smartest of them all, right? And I was not a Pence fan at all. And he was the smartest one. Jumped on board. Everyone knows him now. He was the governor of Indiana and not that popular in Indiana. And all of a sudden now, every Republican knows him for sure. I know Democrats know him too. And that guy, come on. He smartest guy in the room, Pence. Figured it out. He figured the whole thing out. Absolutely. So I identify as libertarian and support both Trump and Sharpe fully. Thank you. See, I love that. Excellent. Yes. Trump cares about Trump. He loves what's going on. He loves being the center of attention. If you think he cares about you or making America great again, you're delusional. See, you have a very valid point, George. Even if Trump does care. And I'm not sure any of them care, to be forward. I'm not trying to slam Trump or anybody else. I'm just being forward. I don't know if any of them care. The amount of politicians I met, that I met when I was running for office in New York, who literally hate their constituents was shocking to me. I didn't believe it was that bad, right? Until I was there, and they're like, and these people are bad, bad. And just the vitriol. I'm like, aren't these your constituents? Are these the people who you support or support you? And there was just vitriol. But then in front of people, smiles. Hey, how you doing? Oh, Bob, how are you? But hated their constituents. I don't know if Trump cares or not. What I know is if he loves what's going on, if that's true, he's going to burn himself into oblivion, if that's true. I hope you're wrong, George. But I don't know. You might be right. You could be totally right. I hope you're wrong, though. I don't want to believe that Trump is that bad. I don't want to believe. But maybe. There's no way I could. I don't know Trump as a. What I know of Trump, how I know who he is a New York City developer. Right? New York City developers fight hard, cry, whine, sue, do whatever's required, fight so they can get their buildings built in the New York City bureaucracy. It's what they do. Otherwise you can't get your building built. That part of him I know. I've seen that many times. He is very much a New York City developer. That's how he acts. You fight, you cry, you whine, you scream, you yell, you threaten, you do whatever's required. You intimidate because you got to get through that bureaucracy to get your building built. That's what they do here all the time. So that part of him I know. Whether he actually cares or not, I hope he does. I don't know if he does. So Pence is thinking 2024. He knows Republican Party is bigger than Trump. And that needs to be the case, right? That needs to be the case. Absolutely. Twitter just locked Trump's account. Is that true? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Wow. We're basically watching the Whig Party losing their credibility. There probably will be a new party, but it won't be libertarian. Alex, I hope you're wrong. I hope people rush to us. It's the right time for us. I hope we're ready to pick it up. I really do. I vote for you. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. Yes. Larry, how are you? Crazy is how I am. I appreciate that. The people storming the Capitol are those who celebrated border agents locking people up in Portland. Valid retort, Jonathan. Valid. And who defend police militarization. Valid. Yep. They reap what they sow. Every pepper ball they get hit with, every ounce of capsaicin that they breathe in through their nostrils is getting what they asked for. I can't fight you on that, Jonathan. You're right. You know I'm not about militarized police. I'm not about that. I'm not about defund the police. I'm just not about militarized police. 100%. I agree. Yes. So it's been proven today was provoked by Antifa. I'm not sure what that means, Chase. Do you mean that Antifa people showed up and provoked the protesters? Or do you mean what I think Michelle was saying was that Shelley was saying that Antifa people actually did the deed. I don't know what that is. And I haven't seen that proof. I don't know what that is. If you have a link, please post it. If you don't mind, please post it in the comments. I'll check it out later after the show. So too much association with Trump. Odds are he won't be nominated by Republicans. Oh, Tony, this is a valid point, right? Pence is associated with Trump. You're right. But it doesn't mean he'll be nominated to be president. But I think he really has the ability to stay a leader and to move people within the party. He might be able to make the presidency piece. I mean, he's a conservative. And Republicans are generally, not all Republicans, obviously, but most Republicans are conservatives. So he's not out of the picture. And he was part of the establishment before. They might bring him back in. But I get your point. Either way, I think he will be a player in the party no matter what. Yes. Our country is more important than any party. Stephanie, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Yes, absolutely true. Yes. All right. People with communist tattoos inside the Senate, and they all look like whoops. Okay. All right. That's good. All right. I'll keep going. What the people want is our votes to count to stop election corruption. That's true. Let's fix this. A simple barcode scan. I don't care who wins. I want it to be legitimate. I'm with you, Karen. I agree. 100%. I'm in. Yes. Yes. Need more peace. Yes, we do. Absolutely. Yes. Trump will remain relevant to be their kingmaker, at least until the midterms and possibly the 2024 presidential election. My worry is that for Trump is that the establishment will go out of its way to try to silence him, which means he'll have to kind of create his own thing. Again, I bring up the idea of Glenn Beck because Glenn Beck has his own The Blaze, right? His own system. I feel like Trump may have to create that. And if the Tea Party is powerful, if it is, and I think it will be, if it's not with him, if they're separate, I feel like he's going to begin to lose a lot of power in the coming years. By 2024, I think it's going to be a lot harder for him. That's my gut. Because establishment tends to win. It tends to push people out eventually, right? And it tends to win. So that's what I think. So yeah, Republicans need to get rid of the nationalist wing of the party. Okay. Maybe, but he's distanced himself every time Trump has gotten publicly weird. Also true. Yes, he has. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. So, all right, let's see here. We still don't have a constitutional president-elect. The Constitution says it needs to be decided January 6th at 1 p.m. What's next? The Supreme Court? Yeah, I brought this up before, Justin. People are talking about, well, can the media decide that there is the president? It kind of does, doesn't it? The media does. If we all accept it and believe it, then it basically is true if we all believe it, right? That's the issue, right? If we all believe it, then it's kind of true. And I think now we're more apt to believe it. After this, we might be go, oh yeah, he's president. He's president-elect. Yes, absolutely. Even though they may not be constitutional. And as I mentioned earlier, after the election, when they said that Biden was the president or the president-elect, it's not constitutional. You're correct. Do Americans care? They don't. Being forward, they don't. You're correct, and Americans don't care. The average American goes, oh, what did CNN and Fox say? Okay, that's true. Sadly, that's how that works. So, all right. Trump is Tea Party, not Libertarian, unless you count him as paleo libertarian. I think he's more Tea Party than Libertarian. I'm not sure Tea Party 2.0 is relatively anti-Trump. Not 100%, but they're not about Trump. They're about what Trump should have been in their eyes. I think that's what Trump 2.0 is right now. Now, if Trump moves to them, he may change them. He may shift them and make that happen. So this is what spiteful, all or nothing, tit-for-tat politics gets you. Yes. A loss is the end of the world. Yes. What's the old saying? If you go for all or nothing, you usually get nothing. Yes. And all I'm saying is at one point, you have to simply accept your losses and move on. At one time you do. We need normal again. Yes and no. Normal meaning no violence? Yes. Normal meaning the same old Democrat Republicans? I'm not okay with that one, Joy. I like the normal, like, no violence part. Let's keep that. Yes. I'd rather protesters destroy the Capitol building rather than destroying private businesses. I guess that's kind of true. I don't want anything to be destroyed, but if I got to pick, yeah, the government can reach in your pocket and these businesses can't. Valid point, Jeremy. Valid point. I don't want anything to be destroyed, but if I got to pick, yeah, I'd pick that. Yep, if I had to. My favorite Larry quote, voting for less of two evils, you still get evil. Yes, but not my quote. Yes, but I've said it, but not my quote. But yes. 6 years of Mitch McConnell is finally ending. But now we have to deal with Chuck Schumer as leader of the Senate. Either way, we're still screwed. Thank you, John. Thank you for this. People kept saying, well, Larry, you should have got behind Trump. You should have got, why? So assuming that I had any power at all to change the election, but assuming if it's rigged, it's irrelevant. But if it's not rigged and I could have moved the election, okay, great. Now Trump wins. Then 4 years, what do we get? Kamala Harris? We're going to get that anyway, right? We have to break the system to where we're not going from one bad to the next bad. And remember this, most people watching either think, prefer Obama or prefer Trump, right? Very few people like both of those, right? Remember something. Bush got us Obama. Obama got us Trump. Trump got us Biden. This goes back to my normal that Joy and I were talking about. I don't want to go back to that normal. I want to make it to where when an election's changed, we get someone who does something different. We don't just go back and forth. We don't go back and forth. The more the pendulum swings one way, the more Americans want to swing it back. Happens all the time. So, yes. All right. Are you going to run for governor again? I will announce in the summer if I will or not. I will announce in the summer. Larry, I see your governor page is still active. Can I do a single donation to it? Yes, of course you may. If any of you want to donate, please go ahead over to LarrySharpe.com. Click that donate button. It is still open. And for those of you who want to know, what do you do with that money? That is a open political action committee. And I use that money to travel New York State. That's how I travel New York State every year. That's how I do events and things of that sort. That's how I support candidates and support liberty. That's how I travel when I go to other states. And that's what I do. And that's through that. We still submit to the Board of Electors, Board of Elections every 3 months. We still submit. Everything is open. You can see it. Yes, absolutely, Kathy, if you care. LarrySharpe.com. Click on the donate button. You can donate whatever you like, one time or ongoing if you like. Many people still donate. And those who donate, please, thank you so much. That is how I'm able to do what I do on the political side. Thank you. So, and those who want to support the show, which is not that the show is different, please head on over to patreon.com/Sharpe Way. Donate whatever you can. That keeps the show going. They're separate. I can't use the political action money to run this show. I'm going to go to jail for do that. So I'm not. They're two separate entities. If you want to support the show, please do this. If you want to support my political action, you want to go to the other place, LarrySharpe.com. Thank you for that, by the way. I do appreciate that. So let me keep going if I can. Okay. Win hearts and minds. Yes, Larry. U.S. needs a balancing majority of libertarians in local grassroots government. Then we'll grow to capital leadership in court of public opinion. Yes, but we don't require a majority. Remember, this is 3 parties, right? Imagine this. You have a state house. Sake of argument, has 200 people in it, right? You got 95 Democrats, 95 Republicans, and 10 libertarians. We run the Senate because we're a swing vote. So we don't need majority. We just need to swing vote. Just enough to swing a state capital. That's all we need. And all of a sudden now, things will change. That's what we need. So I appreciate that. Just we don't require the actual majority. That's it. I hope Biden does so bad, more people vote libertarian. I think that's pretty much guaranteed. Jesse, the problem is we have to pay. Right? We pay the price for that, right? That's the problem. I think he will, but again, it's 4 more years of pain that I want us to get around. So the protesters were Antifa. The protesters were Antifa. The protesters, I'm not sure I buy that one, Charles. Were there Antifa people within the protesters? Maybe. I mean, that's plausible. But to think those were Antifa protesters? So Antifa went to the Trump rally, listened to him and went, yay, Trump, and then marched over and put on Trump hats? That one I can't buy. I can't buy that one. Maybe they were infiltrators. I mean, that's plausible, but I don't think so. So I agree there, but if I had to pick of the two, I'd say destroy government buildings over private property. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, of course. All right. Disagree. Antifa was involved. Look around. There was information about that ahead of time. Patriots don't behave that way. So I guess maybe what you're saying is they were infiltrators, right? That was the same. Is it the same? That was the same story that they talked about during the riots during the summer. They were like, oh, these were all peaceful protesters. It was only Antifa who came in and did this, and that's it. Or they said, oh, it was alt-righters who came in and did the bad stuff. Those are the stories. Now you're telling me the same story for this. Are they both true? I don't know. Okay, so that's a call for violence. Trump was right and is entitled to his opinion. I think you're talking about someone else, but I get what you're saying. I'm not saying that what Trump did was call for violence. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that's how it will be spun. That I'm sure of. It will be spun that way, as if he literally pulled the trigger himself. It will be spun that way. And again, if someone is not paying attention and they're a relatively low information, viewer or voter, they're going to buy it. That's how it works. Yes. Let's see. Let's see here. Trump will never back down, unfortunately. You don't have to back down. All right. I gave my way of getting around this. It's not required to back down. You simply shift your assault into another area. That's all. You're going to change something else, right? The problem is if he doesn't back down, he's going to martyr himself. He's in a position where he can't win. He's basically put himself in the bunker and manning the machine gun and waiting for the enemy to come, and they're going to overwhelm him. It's not going to work. It's a battle he can't win anymore. And at one point, he should just say, you know what? I can't win it. I'm going to go fight another battle, a battle that I can win. I'm going to go fight a battle I can win. Absolutely. So, Trump told him to fight. Trump inside the right. That's what you mean. Yes. You know what? There's an argument for that, Friday, as far as Steve. There's an argument for that, right? In that he was not clear, and that that Trump was saying so many things that were provocative, right? The election was stolen. I'll never give up. We have to keep fighting. That he probably should have been clearer and said, which is what to be fair to him, after it happened, he then clarified. He said, yes, it was stolen, but go home. We need peace. Go home. He did say that. I'll give him that. But you're right. You have a valid point. He probably should have said that during the actual rally. He didn't say that during the rally. During the rally, it was like, fight. They're killing us. It's terrible. I could see someone saying that's inciting. I could see that. Absolutely. I think it's all crap. All this crap is a way for our government to make more laws, control us more. God, Jesse, I wish you were wrong, but I think you're exactly right. I think you're exactly right. This is going to be, we need more rules. We need more laws and more. Yes, absolutely. Because we can't be caught with that again. We can't have, people walk into so now we have to have more security on the Capitol and more security for our people. Absolutely. The media does not care about high road and reform in a corrupt system that has not worked. Corruption ends in violence. That's the truth of the world. God, Sam, you guys are making me feel bad. It's that bad. We can fix this, guys. I'm asking you to not surrender. I'm asking you to just retreat. There's a difference. You lose a battle. We lose battles. Is it a big battle? Yeah. Yeah. To me, my gubernatorial one was a big battle, and I lost that badly. And the Republican who lost walked away and basically just quit. He's sitting in his own place, kowtowing to the governor. That's what he's doing, right? So the Republican who ran, he just gave up. I'm not. I'm still here. I'm in the woods and the hills fighting my guerrilla war, but I haven't given up. And I hope we won't either. The last thing I want is for Trump supporters to say, that's it. It doesn't work. I'm going to go home and either be violent or check out. And that's exactly what I talked about earlier this year. That when this happens, they will do one of two things. They'll either turn to sporadic violence or they'll check out. Both are the wrong answer. I'm asking you to not do that. Please don't do that. It's a bad idea. I hope you're wrong, Sam. I'm trying my best to provide an answer that does not require violence. I'm trying to provide an answer that get people to just go, generally speaking, people are corrupt as a whole, not individuals. Certain people are always tending towards corruption, certain individuals. But a system, a group of people will only be corrupt if it's lucrative, if it makes sense, if there's no repercussions, then they'll do it. If we create an environment to where it doesn't work, you don't make the money, you go to jail, you can do things without having to be corrupt. If we create that environment, we'll have less corruption. Can we end corruption? Of course not. Some people are going to just do stuff. Of course. Can we shrink it to something that is tiny and manageable? Yes. Absolutely. Yes. The government needed a reminder that they are not all powerful. Anyone can be drug out. I'm not sure where you're going with that, Lyndon. I think that wasn't a reminder. They are all that powerful. The government is powerful. The establishment is. The individual isn't, right? Trump isn't all powerful. The establishment is. He's gonna lose the election. He's lost the election. They're gonna throw him out. So it absolutely is. The establishment is. Trump is better served to retreat, regroup, and go again as a private citizen. Yes, agreed. Not helping himself, rigged election or not, 100% true. Yes, it is a better move. Absolutely a better move. Yes. He's not Tea Party, who are constitutional conservatives. he wouldn't know the Constitution if it hit him in the face. And he's by nowhere means anywhere libertarian. And I do think the Tea Party does not think the Tea Party 2.0 is not a Trump party. It is a different group separate from Trump. So they are far more constitutional conservatives. That's true, Chris. I don't know what Trump will do. Will he try to take them over? Will he try to move towards them? I don't know. So yes. Trump will never admit the role he played in today's chaos. He supercharged the atmosphere and then acted like he was surprised today ended like it did. This is true, Stephanie. Even if he's not responsible for it, and I see the argument for him being responsible, I do, but there's no doubt he did supercharge the atmosphere. That's true. I mean, he wanted them to come, asked them to come, motivated them when they were there. I think that's true, right? He does have a role to play in this without question. It's true. My issue is they're going to say that basically he pulled the trigger to kill that girl. That's my issue. I don't think that's true, right? But did he play a part? 100%. Yes, he did. Of course he did. Yes. And I think you're right. He'll act like, I don't know why these crazy people did this. And this is the other issue that I told my wife this years ago after he had first run. She's like, Larry, people aren't lasting very long in his cabinet in the first year or two. And she said, I don't understand. What's going on? I said, he's not very loyal to people who don't stay loyal to him. That's not his personality. His personality is all about loyalty. If you're not loyal to him, he doesn't stay loyal to you, period. He just doesn't at all. It's not who he is. I said, and once you turn him, he turns against you. It's just, that's who Trump is. He's not loyal. If you're loyal to him, he's loyal. If you're not loyal to him, he's not loyal. That's not what he does. It's not who he is. He doesn't say, it's fine. He turned on me. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Just go on. He's not thinking for the long term. He's thinking only for the short term. That's how he thinks when it comes to relationships. It's clear. You see who he works with, who his friends are. He's very transactional, like a real estate guy, like a developer. He's very transactional, even in his friendships. It's who he is. And I was always saying I would never work for him. I mean, not that he would ever ask me, but sake of argument, Larry, be secretary of whatever. Nope, no, thank you. Because the second we disagree or I'm not with you anymore, you're going to turn on me. No, thanks. I'll stay where I am. I'll wait till later. Right? You saying, well, Larry, should he be? Yeah. Those of you who know me, many people have turned on me. Many people have stabbed me in the back. I'm still with them. Still friends. I forgive. I don't forget. But I totally forgive. And we keep moving. So, yeah, my point, I went a little bit long on this. But I do think he has a role. Of course he does. He has responsibility. Leaders always have some, if not all, responsibility. I do not call him all responsibility. I don't. Some, yes, absolutely. He has to accept that some of this is his responsibility. He's the leader. Of course. Of course. Yes. There are a few Democrats who are conservative Democrats who are willing to work with other people and parties. This is true, Andrew. I've met them before. There actually are conservative Democrats, and Libertarian Party in New York has actually endorsed a few of them. So yes, that does happen. I picked Larry Sharpe as leader. Thank you. I'm the leader. Thank you, Jeremy. I have duly been picked. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. Divide is what government wants. And it works. It works. Fight as in political fighting back what we need to do. Nothing wrong with saying fight. Agreed, right? I'm not saying at all, Janice, that I think, am I saying it right? Janice or Janice? I'm thinking Janice. I hope I'm not pronouncing your name incorrectly. Janice, that I'm not saying he said, go do that thing. I am agreeing, though, with Steffi that he did supercharge the environment and he takes some responsibility for that. He should at least, because he is responsible. Of course he is. He's a leader. Yes. All right. Let's see if I can keep going. We need voter ID, common sense, in my opinion. I do think we want to change the system in general. I do. And what we did today is not the answer, but I think we do. I agree with you. What you think Trump is General MacArthur? Doesn't Trump have bone spurs? Trump will not return. Trump is not the Terminator. Trump won't be back. Maybe. I'm not sure yet. My gut tells me that Trump is going to not give up and keep fighting, and he's going to burn himself out. He's going to martyr himself. If he keeps doing this, he is not going to be anywhere near as powerful as he could have been. Right? If he were to take this now and say, I'm turning now, the violence was too much, let me turn this around, blah, 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 he could still be powerful. I think he's not going to be anywhere near as powerful as he could be. I think he's losing an opportunity now, in my view. But we'll see. I could be wrong here, but that's what I think here. So, all right. Living here in New York City for 40 plus years, you learn if you screw Trump, he takes joy in getting revenge. Yes, William, you know Trump like I do. You know. Let's see. Getting revenge, and the Republican establishment will wish they didn't stab Trump in the back. I believe the GOA is DOA. Trump needs to peel off all the GOP fundraising. It's a valid, you know him like I do. Same thing, right? That's who he is. He's a New York State, developer. That's who he's been for what, 40 years now, 50 years now, however long he's been doing it. So that's really what he is, right? And that's who he is. And many of his friendships are transactional. He is about getting people back because you have to have a strong reputation. You can't threaten people in New York City and not have already punished them in some way. You have to have a reputation of oversuing, over-litigating, winning in court. And he has that reputation here in New York City because people know you screw Trump, he's going to get you. I'm not sure he can win that battle against the establishment. The establishment's strong. And maybe I'm wrong. If anybody could, William, it's Trump, if anybody can. I'm not sure he can. I've seen the establishment punish a lot of people, me included, and I had no chance against the establishment. Obviously I'm not Trump, but I had zero chance. The idea of him being able to fight the establishment, it's hard because they're fighting over the same people, right? The GOP establishment is going to try to get all the Trump supporters. They're going to fight for them and see if they can get them with, whoever they believe their replacement is. It'll be tough. I'm not sure he can do it. I'm just not sure. So, Larry, why don't you move to Kentucky and run against Mitch? Thank you. But you already have people running against Mitch there, right? Don't you have guys running over there already? Doing very well. You don't need me. You got people already. You're good. You're good. So, why do we need papers? Why do we need ID for everything? Show me your papers. Isaac, you've hit it right there. It's an emotional. This is what I was bringing up earlier. This is an emotional piece, right? And you've got to cover it in a way that gets past that emotion. If you don't, it's not going to work. You're right. You have to use it in a way that covers that emotional idea. It doesn't feel good, right? It just doesn't. People who've had a history of where are your papers, that's going to feel horrible. So you have to do that. Yes. We have already cards. Yeah, you can do it. You can. Texas requires them. There we go. You can do it. I think you can do it. All right. How does the Libertarian Party use this BS in 2020 protests from both sides to gain popularity? We have not been good at that, Nick. I wish we'd been better. We've not been good at that. We've been okay at it, but not great. We've got to get better at it. And what that is we got to keep finding answers and letting people feel welcome here. And you are welcome here. You are welcome here. If you're a Democrat who is now afraid that because of this, they're going to install socialism in the country, I'm here. I'm here. If you're a Republican who's like, oh my God, now without Trump, the Republican Party is going back to, its neocon era and I don't want to be part of neocons, come here. We're here. Absolutely. We're here. 100%. So yes. Why are all libertarians going soft and direct protest on a government building? I don't know if all libertarians are going soft on that. I am, because I don't like direct assaults on buildings and property in general. I'm the guy trying to not do the violence. I'm the guy talking about respect. That's my whole shtick. My entire shtick is respect. So I don't know about the rest. But am I going soft on them? Look, I understand it. I understood the protests in the summer. I understood them. I understand frustration. I've been through frustration. I know what it's like to feel like you have no choice, no chance, no power. I know what it's like, and you New Yorkers like William and I, we know what it's like when you live in a state that is one-party Democrat run. And if you're not part of the one-party Democrat, you establishment, you get nothing. I know how that works. I live in it now. So I'm not soft, and I'm just saying it doesn't work. Think about something. Remember Occupy Wall Street? Occupy Wall Street lasted months. What happened from Occupy Wall Street? Nothing. Because they never actually won the hearts and minds of anybody. This, same idea. If you don't win the hearts and minds, it doesn't work. That's why. I guess maybe I am soft on it, Joe. And if I am, guilty as charged. It doesn't work is why. I want stuff that will work. This doesn't work. It makes things harder, right? And the worst part of it all, which is the real fear that I have for this, is the reverse will wind up happening. This will now make it easier for Democrats to say, see, we have to undo all the evil Trump stuff. And if the Trump supporters, if they check out, which a lot of them are going to check out, I see it already on social media, I'm done, I'm out. They're not going to say anything because they're going to check out. They're going to pay attention. They're just going to sit back and go, told you so, libtards. That's all they're going to do, which is not going to help anybody, right? So the Democrats will put in more of their agenda, and it's harder for us to undo it. So it might actually be worse. I want stuff that will work, not stuff that only feels good or looks good, or we showed them we're fighting and it's a Pyrrhic victory. That's not what I want. So I hope that answers your question at least. So, all right. I'm angry with you, but I still love you. I still love you, Shelley. I do. I wanted a fair election. You don't see it such a big deal as I do. We still have 95%. Thank you. Absolutely. Guys, a lot of you are going to be upset with me in different issues. Certain things like that, Larry, you're wrong. What I hope is you'll go, I still like Larry. He's still a guy, but on this, he's full of it. On this, he's wrong. And you might be right. I'm open to being wrong. Some of you have watched me be wrong literally on the show live. It does happen sometimes. Rarely, but it does happen sometimes. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Thank you, Shelley. I still love you too. Absolutely. Yes. So, why is there not an investigation towards Antifa and BLM funding to discover political involvement if it's true, Mr. Sharpe? So it's a good question, right? If BLM and Antifa are funding this in some way, if that's true, wouldn't Republicans want to know? Wouldn't Republicans, even though in theory they'd be the ones who'd want to get rid of Trump, right? And if this is true, wouldn't they still want to know if it's coming from Antifa or BLM, or would they not care? I'm not sure where we're going on this one, but there's an inconsistency here that I'm agreeing with you on. There is one there. I'm not sure where it goes. Are we saying that they're not doing one because they're happy with the results? That both Republicans and Democrat establishment people are like, yeah, whatever, we don't care? Or are you saying that it doesn't exist? It's not Antifa and BLM, it's something else. Yeah. All right, guys. Next month I gotta get a phone call so you can call in so we can have an actual conversation, because this is an interesting one. I'm not sure where you're going with it, but there's definitely something that doesn't make sense there. I'm with you on that one. Yes. So Brad Barron, yes, he was actually going up against Kentucky. You don't need me. You got the Barron. You're good. You don't need me, Kentucky. Absolutely. Yes. Interesting to hear that perspective of voter ID. How do we deal then with voter ID on an emotional level? We need solid voter ID laws. Yeah, and I think the way you bring it up is not by saying, what's wrong with voter ID, right? That sounds mean and aggressive. You bring it up with the way Shelley was talking about it, which is, don't you want fair elections? That's how you bring it. You don't bring up voter ID for the sake of voter ID. You bring up voter ID for the sake of the greater good that you're trying to achieve with it. So you talk about, we want fair elections. One way of making that happen would be voter ID, right? That's how you discuss it. You discuss it like you don't necessarily want voter ID. You just think it's a good idea that we can do that and that kind of thing. Maybe you bring up ideas of, do you want to do a fingerprint or do you want to do something else, right? That kind of, that's the style of conversation that'll get people to hear you. Otherwise, they don't hear you. They just feel like, and the emotion blocks the logic. They don't hear the logic. So I think you talk about the end goal that look, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, whether you believe that this election is rigged or not, everybody wants fair elections. That's true. Well, I'm sorry. Everyone who's ethical wants fair elections, right? So if you bring it up in that idea, what is the end game goal, and then walk back and get to voter ID, I think that's a better way of breaching that conversation, talking to the average person to where they say, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm okay with that. I think that's how you do it, Janie. So, all right. It's interesting because New York State is the most regulated state in the union behind California, who has second place, and Texas has the third most regulated state in the union. You mean? Oh, I think I'm missing that. I think I must have missed something on that one. That was for someone else, I think. Sorry about that. Yes. I hope I didn't upset you with my general statement, Mr. Larry. Address Grizzly. Not at all, brother. Please, not at all. I want you all to tell me when you think I'm wrong. How can I get better if I don't have people challenge me? Why do you think I do this live? I could also be wrong, but also something else. Your way of looking at something may not be the same way I look at it, and at least I can understand where your head is. How can I try to understand my constituency if they don't tell me what they think? All good. And by the way, I've been yelled at worse, far worse. If any of you run for office, you know, one of the things you do is get yelled at. One of the things you do is get called names. If you're not good with being insulted and called names, you probably shouldn't run for office. It's part of the job. I've been called many terrible things, both online and to my face. I've been yelled at both online and in my face. It's fine. So thank you, Jonathan, for staying. I like Cruz, actually. A lot of people do, right? And he gets a lot of crap from the left. The left hates Cruz. But a lot of conservatives actually like Ted Cruz, right? He's not a bad, it's not a bad piece there. So, but not a fan of Pence. Okay, there we go. So not a fan of Pence. There we go. Yes. In 2016, my choice was Cruz. There we go. A lot of conservatives do like Cruz. It's true. A lot of them do. And I think since he's also supporting Trump right now, I think he'll turn. But since he's been supporting Trump right now, I think some of those Trump supporters would still go to Cruz, right? I think he's someone they would still go to. Some of the establishment, the Trump supporters would never go to. Like Rhino, right? They're not like that at all. Some are just not going to go. But I do think that a lot of Trump supporters would go to Cruz. Andorra has a king. There we go. I thought they had something like that. Yes, absolutely. Okay, let's see. If the Republicans kill 1,000 people in D.C., it would merely offset the Dems after the race protests this year, which were wannabe N64 protests, which is bad. Republicans need to admit it's probably over. I would rather Republicans not kill 1,000 people in D.C., but I get your point. There was a lot of damage done by the protests this year in the summer. Unnecessary damage, Brandon. A valid point. But again, I think it's time to admit, move on. Next battle, right? Too many people think that you've got to win every battle and you got to die on every hill. You don't. This is a hill not worthy of dying on. Move on. Absolutely. So I predict that in 2024, top candidates Republican will be Cruz and Pence. All right. We'll see. I like that. See if you're right. I went to a Ted Cruz rally in South Carolina. Worst time of my life. I wanted to gouge out my eyeballs. I went with my dad. Rest in peace. Oh, sorry about your dad, but that's actually funny. Say. Let's see. Cruz won't even defend his own wife. As Texans, we can do better. I think you could do better than Cruz. I think there's lots. 25 million Texans, something like that. I'm sure there's somebody better, but Cruz is there. So, Cruz is there. Yes. What did Gary say? Yes, if there is a link, that'd be great. If someone has that, yes. So, yes. So if I can grab this next one. Pence will be the front runner in 2024 because of the action he's made in the past 3 months. I think Pence was savvy, right? People don't like it, but I think Pence was savvy. Are we going to make America great again by burning the Capitol? Yeah, no, we're not. Let's not do that. Let's not do that at all. Yeah. Does Trump care about Trump? Yes. Does he love America as much as himself? Yes. Trump lost money being a politician, whereas people like Biden get rich from being a politician. I don't know if Trump lost money being a politician. Trump made some money too, and his name recognition across the world is even bigger than it was. He could start his own, anything he wants now. I'm not sure I buy that he lost money. I'm not sure I buy the lost money part. But there's no question most politicians like Biden get rich becoming politicians. I'm not sure Trump lost on this one, right? He still raised money from followers. He still got X hundreds of millions of dollars in his campaign account that he can use in all kind of ways. He still has massive name recognition, hundreds of millions of, at least tens of millions of followers who probably, many of them will purchase any good product or service that he wants to sell. I'm not, William, I'm not sure with the lost money on that one. I'm not sure about that. I think he did rather well. Again, like everyone else, I'm not saying he's better or worse. I don't think so. I'm not sure I can buy that one. I think there's a lot of data that would show that he's going to be just fine, making tons of money, like they all do. Yeah. So, not after his letter to Congress, he's backing down. Oh, you think he's backing down? All right. Pence had everyone fooled. Yes, Steffi, he did. Everyone underestimated him on every level. Yep. I was one of the people who was not. I was like, Pence, that guy's thinking. He went from not being very popular in his own state to being vice president. I mean, well done. Apparently, he plays the long game. Yes. So few people play the long game. Yep. And now he has a very prosperous political future because the Senate took to that. Yes. Agreed. Pence was a smart guy here. He was a smart guy here. Yep. As soon as Biden called on Trump to refute absolutely the actions of the protesters, I thought, well, crap, his ego is so large it would never happen. Joel, this is my point. Thank you for saying that. I'm not asking Trump to admit anything. Why would I do that? I'm looking for the future. People get mad at me. Larry, you got to let him know that it's all lies and he's a terrible liar and it's all terrible. Joel, your point's right. He's not gonna. And I actually don't know if he's a total liar. I haven't done the homework to look down the rabbit hole. So maybe there are things that are wrong with this election and maybe he should fix it. Okay. So why would I ask him to do that? What I would ask him to do is simply accept that this battle has been lost. Not the war's been lost, that this battle has been lost. And that now lengthening this battle is making things worse. That's what I asked him to do. Acknowledge that and go, you know what? Here's my next battle. Rally my people. I'm going to do this next thing, whether it is, supporting the Republican Party, supporting the Trump wing of the Republican Party, fixing the election scandals, right? Whatever. Here, creating a nonpartisan group that investigates China. There's so many things he could do. I would, if it were me, and you saw what I did. I'm not asking Trump to admit anything except that this battle's lost. That's it. And then move on to your next thing. It's better for everybody. If the election fraud is all garbage and Mitch McConnell's right and it's utter nonsense, move on. Who cares? If Shelley's right and there's huge problems, go find them now and be the hero. Either way, staying on this is the wrong answer. And Biden knew that. And his people knew that. And that's why Biden did what he did. He didn't do what I did. Because Biden didn't want this to end with anything good for Trump. Excuse me. He wants Trump to burn himself and be a martyr. That's what Biden wants. That's what all Democrats want. That's why they mean, you got to do this. You have to admit your sins. Of course they're going to do that because Trump's never going to do that. You're totally right. And they want that ego to burn itself. They want that, so they egg that on. I wouldn't have done that because I'm not about trying to be the most righteous person in the room. I'm about making things right and better. That's what I'm about. That's why he did what he did. You're totally right, Joel. I completely agree. Yes. I think people forget that that it is us, we the people, that make America great, not any part of our government. Love that. Jolene, well done. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Sharpe 2024. The odds of me running for president in 2024 are slim, to be forward with you. It doesn't mean I wouldn't, but the odds are very slim. I would absolutely consider another VP run if the right person was in the presidential slot in 2024, right? If someone like Justin Amash, who has name recognition, who has money behind him, has experience, would run, or even a celebrity type person like I don't know, like a Kurt Russell, or I don't know his politics, but I know he's a libertarian. If someone like him wanted to run, or something like that, right? If there was someone who could make impact, I would absolutely jump on the VP ticket, the slot, to move that ticket forward. I totally would jump on a ticket like that. When I run for president, if I became insanely popular in the next 4 years to where I thought I could have that kind of impact on my own, sure. But I don't want to run a race unless I can make impact. I've complained about people all the time about doing that. I don't want to be that guy. I'm the guy who, when I run, I make impact. When I run, there was something there. And when I ran in New York, I made impact. I'd only run in 2024 at top of the ticket if I thought I was the best guy to make impact. If I couldn't, I would run as the VP slot. In 2016, I tried to be the VP. I thought Gary Johnson had the best chance to make impact. Next, I thought was Austin Peterson, the second best chance to make impact. I was okay being on either of those two tickets. I was also thinking maybe McAfee might, but I wasn't sure. But so I was okay being a VP for those. In 2020, the only person I thought who could make impact was Judge Jim Gray or Justin Amash. Those are the two I thought who could have made impact. I would have been on the ticket of either of those two. Anyone else, I didn't think I had any chance of making impact, so I didn't want to do it. I'm not going to sit here and bug you guys for money, bug you guys for time, make you guys think about all these things unless I can provide something in return. I mean, that's what a good libertarian does, right? Value for value transactions. So if I can't do that, I'm not doing it. So I might, but that'd be the issue. So yes. Let me see if I can keep going here. We're not a group of joiners, but time to obviously join the LP. Yes. And pump some money into our future candidates. Yes, Josh, time to join the LP. LP.org. For those of you who want to join, LP.org. Feel free. Or just Google Libertarian Party of your local state. In reality, while I absolutely love the you supporting the national LP, also consider your state affiliate. Your state affiliate probably needs you more. So here's my request for any of you who want to join the LP. If you have enough cash flow to where you can join both your local state chapter and your national chapter, and national, please do so. If you're strapped on which one you can do, go local first. I know it may sound crazy, but it's what Tommy was talking about too when I was talking about, right? If you're saying, I got cash, I'm good, my cash flow's fine now, I'm not that hurt, join both, please. It's $25, I think, for the national, whatever that case may be. And then whatever your local state, whatever their fees are fine, whatever it is, pay that. But if you're kind of strapped on cash and you can only do one or the other, do local, right? Your state needs you tremendously. National needs you too, but your state needs you massively. So if you got the cash, do both. If you don't, go local first. That's the most important piece. So I hope that was helpful. Yes. All right. Reminds me of sectarian conflict in Iraq after the elections with al-Maliki. Yes, I remember. Except we have an occupying force here, which I hope will never lay down. Yes, I hope will never lay down and let happen. Agreed. But I think this will just be sporadic. Eventually, it ends, right? In other words, Antifa went Republican in drag and started fights in the middle of the Capitol. Yeah, that's my point, Jonathan. Is it possible there were Antifa people there? Sure, that's plausible. But those were Trump supporters in bulk, right? It was in bulk. It was them, for sure, in bulk. Yeah. So when we run for office again, I think I mentioned that just now. I would consider a governor run the next year. Well, I would announce this year in the summer if I will. Absolutely. I'm done with the DC Unibrow Party. Thank you so much. Yes. The woman who got shot today worked at the Capitol building, passed away. They're going to blame that directly on Trump. Guaranteed. They're going to blame that directly on Trump. Yep. All right. Well, I'm guessing Biden will die in office and the House will be our first female president. My gut tells me that Biden will officially finish his entire term. That's what I think. I think he will put Kamala into power with a lot more power as of the beginning of year 3. I think that's when he'll start. So she'll have 2 years really being in the front, prepping her and grooming her for 2024. That's what I think will happen. So, but I think he will officially stay the president, even though by year 3, it will really be her doing most of it. That's what I think. That's what my gut says. So you can just pop on that immediately. He will do another reality show and call it good. He might, right? He might. Absolutely. Yes. Trump will resonate in the hearts and minds of Americans for years, even if he never ran for office again, but kept having speaking events, they'll be packed. I think it's true. He's going to have people coming with him. The question is how many, right? And how much and what's his next step. I think he should pick his next step now, Andrew, and decide what that is and then keep going. So will Trump be impeached and removed from office, especially now after his ass-hatting remarks? There was talk, I saw it, I forgot where, of using the 25th Amendment to get rid of Trump now. I don't see any of it happening. He's got 14 days left. I don't see it happening. I think he's just going to do his last 14 days and move on. That's what I think. So yeah. So see if I keep going. It was staged storming of the Capitol. I'm not sure what that means. Staged storming. Do you mean that it was planned, or that they were actors? They weren't actors. Do you think they were actors? Staged meaning planned? I'm not sure what you mean by that one. I don't know where you're going with that. Yeah. Why are you rioting? They sent you $600. Pete. Nicely done. See? You got your $600. Be quiet. Go back in your cage. You got $600? Absolutely. 100%. Yes. A government afraid of the people, you have liberty. A people afraid of the government, you have tyranny. Yep, we're already there. Yes. The U.S. government has one unlimited fiat via dollar printer. Yep. Boots and guns to enforce unlimited tax increases via a one-party monopoly, and the common good narrative via its propaganda system. Sam, are you trying to depress me? It's starting to work. Stop. You are starting to depress me. Absolutely. Oh, my God. Yes. I wish you were wrong again. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Yes. Twitter locked Trump out of his account after the tweet appearing to justify Capitol violence. He's going to burn himself. It's the wrong answer. Yes. The Constitution not only gives us the right to overthrow tyrants, but it says it's our duty. These politicians and establishment will not respond to anything but violence, and they create that scenario. If that's true, Robert, we have to get the people to make that decision. The amount of people who were at the Capitol were nowhere near a majority in America, not even close. And the amount of people who would have supported violence in America right now, nowhere near the majority. We're not there. If you want to change the government, you've got to change hearts and minds first, right? Remember, you have to have a situation to where the cops won't fire upon you, or you have to start killing cops. You have to have a situation where the military won't fire upon you, or we have to start killing military. I mean, we're nowhere near that. And if that's what you're thinking about, remember, still, the vast majority of the military is still loyal to the Constitution, right? So they're not saying let's overthrow, right? Where are the if anything, the generals, the retired generals who would have that kind of ability to unite people against the government, they're all against Trump, right? Some of the generals who are in power now are loyal to Trump, but almost all of those retired, almost all anti-Trump now. So what you're asking for is even that requires winning hearts and minds. Even that requires accepting this is a lost battle and moving on. So either way, and I go back to what I talked about for our revolution. Someone said, well, did George Washington quit? He lost his first battles. In fact, one of the first battles he lost was here in New York City, the Battle of Long Island, the Battle of Brooklyn. It's one of the first battles he lost. And he retreated, regrouped, and eventually won that war. So I'll keep going there and saying the same thing. Yes. So it's not DC Trump related, but about future elections. What do you think about blockchain voting system? USPS developed one already. Yes, big fan, Adam. Like the idea. I think it is DC Trump related. This is what Shelley was talking about. She's saying there's there's voter fraud. People here are talking about voter ID. Yes. Why can't we have something like that? And imagine if Trump said, all right, you know what? I'm going to walk away from this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how an election should be done. And I'm going to head the movement to create the first totally transparent election system based upon blockchain. What a home run that would be, Adam. I wish he would do that. What a home run that would be. Trump promised to drain a swamp and became a leech. I don't know if I go that far, but he didn't drain as well as he wanted. And I'm going to be fair to him and Obama in this one. Yep, I'm bringing two together in this case. When you haven't dealt with this, you always underestimate the problems and you suffer in your first term. If you look at the last four presidents, right? Clinton and Bush, both were governors. And when they came to DC, whether you were a Clinton supporter or Bush supporter, neither, I'm just saying factually, they did pretty well pushing their agenda. Why? They had dealt with, assemblies and senates in their own home states. They knew how that worked. They played the game before. They knew how hard it was going to be, and they set their expectations accordingly. And they were pretty successful in moving their agendas forward in the first year. Compared to, when you compare what they were up against, they knew. And Clinton went really centrist, right? Because he knew that's how he can get his agenda passed, right? They knew this. Obama was never a governor. Trump was never a governor. Both really struggled in their first terms because they overestimated what they could do and underestimated the problem because they hadn't dealt with it before. Right? Obama was the golden child. So he just said stuff and magic happened, right? When he was young. I mean, he was like perfect, right? Trump was always the boss. So he just say stuff and it got done. He was always the CEO and the boss. Both coming into this arena and going, oh, that's not how this works. So, yeah, there was no way Trump could have drained the swamp, as he said. Even if he wanted, I don't know how much he wanted to, but there's no way he could have. He didn't know. And neither did Obama in his first term, right? First-term presidents who aren't governors tend to struggle. Not all, but they tend to. Reagan, governor, right? Carter, governor. So, didn't struggle. So, well, sorry. Carter did struggle, but for different reasons. So, anyway. Maybe we need a break from kings. How about forever, Pete? Let's break from them forever. Yes. So, we need a flag with a Latin phrase. Nolo le tangere. Touch me not. Anything we have a flag on, I want to adjust the flag. Right? We have the Gadsden flag, right? Don't tread on me. Don't tread on anybody. Not just me. Anybody. So how about touch no one? How about that? Unless they want to be touched. Then it's fine. It's fine. No worries there. Yes, absolutely. So I appreciate you and Spike Cohen. You both are very good at getting the message out. I know you both have your base, but have you ever collaborated or spoken about party goals? We don't much. I think I had him on my show, was it once or twice last year? That's about it. We don't collaborate much at all. Pete, of course, 27 trillion. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. The Libertarian Party is the only party where we can all get along, at least in theory. Theory, yes, we can. Absolutely. Yes. 100%. Yes. All right. I have always believed in your 80-20 theory when it comes to LP. Yes, there are going to be people and things. You can disagree with me. Of course you are. We disagree with different issues. Of course we are. I remember somebody who was supporting me in upstate New York when I ran. He said, Larry, I don't agree with you on everything. He was a staunch conservative. It's like, I don't agree with everything you think. I'm a real conservative. I'm a staunch conservative. I said, I get it. I'm not the perfect conservative. I'm not. And he goes, but you know what? You're not going to bother me, and you're going to let me fix things locally if you're governor. I said, you're right. Yes, I will give you my opinion, and you'll take it or leave it. I hope you'll be respectful if you tell me no. I hope you'll be respectful. You don't have to be, but I hope you are. And you'll do what you think is right, and I'm okay with that. Just don't bother others. So the 20% that people disagree with me, generally speaking, they'll be able to fix it themselves if I run for governor. I'm not a micromanager, and I don't think I should be. You know your life better than me. Even if you're wrong, it's still your life and you can be wrong. So yes, and I'm sometimes wrong. I'm not always right. I'm usually right. Not always right. So yes. It's too frustrating to understand why everyone does stuff. It's tiring. It is. But if you're going to lead, you have to do it. And I don't mean to be crazy, but yes, if you're going to lead, you have to do that, Leslie. If you're not going to lead, it doesn't matter, right? If you're just going to live your life and do your thing, no worries. Go ahead. But if you're going to lead people, you need to do that. It's the best way to lead people. Absolutely. You don't want to assault a building, but Marine. I still know how. Literally, it's been 30 years, and I still know how. I could still lead men on an assault of a building. I could take room by room. I could still do it. I could still move. I can still literally call in fire from our artillery battery to this day. I could march Marines to this day. I have not forgotten. It is burned into my skull. So yes, I could. But I realized something. You want to assault a building when that's the right thing and that will be effective. You don't want to assault a building for assaulting's sake. And there are times in the world when assaulting a building is exactly what you should do. today wasn't that day. Today was not that day. Right? That's it. All right. Let's see if I can keep going. All righty. After today, I think the Libertarian Party can make huge inroads with Americans who don't feel like either R's or D's represent them. Now is the best time to strike at the heart of the duopoly. Huge opportunity to seize. I agree completely. Yes, I agree completely. Yes. So, guys, I didn't really talk much about the show itself. We are going to be, of course, making changes. I just thought this was a very important night that we should talk about. Please support the show to the best of your ability. Again, if you want to join the LP, please do so. LP.org, $25, and you are a member. Please do that if that's where you want to go. We're happy to have you. If you don't have that much cash, the best place to go is your local affiliate first. Your state needs you more than national does. National needs you, but state needs you more than national. If you've got some extra cash, you can support me on the Patreon. Patreon.com/SharpeWay. $10 if you got big money, throw me $100. If you got the money, please throw it. If you don't, no worries. But if you don't have the cash, you don't have to give any money. I want you to. I want your money. You don't have to give it. I also want you to like, comment, and share. That's free. Please do that as much as possible. The more people who see this, the more people who get it, the better for everybody. Please like, comment, and share. It's free. You can do it anytime you like. Do it again. Put in comments, click those like buttons wherever you are. And I'll ask something I don't often ask. Subscribe to me on YouTube. Helps me tremendously. Subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on the Sharpe Way social media properties. Do that. That's helpful if you don't have the cash. That's still very helpful to keep the show going so that I'll have sponsors, right? If I grow, I'll get sponsors. I'll stop bugging you for money. So yes, it's important that we do that. And of course, my sponsors, advocates.org, please head over there and share that. You know, you take it, I get it, but also share it. Now more than ever, you may want to take that test. Absolutely. You might want to take it more than ever right now. Take that test, share that test around. It's free. People love it. And my sponsors love it. And if you are someone who likes CBD products, please head over to grownselection.com and purchase CBD products there. Sharpe Way 20 for 20% off. Again, our sponsors helping us out tremendously. You can help without having to give. If you can give, please do so. No matter what, you can like, comment, and share. So thank you for all that. Let me grab a couple more of these if I can. I convinced my old school R parents in Indiana to look up Rainwater for governor. Rainwater was a great candidate. They loved his ideas, donated, got yard signs, and now libertarian social media groups. Yes, weird to see them there, but I appreciate it. We can move this forward, guys. Absolutely. We can absolutely do it. So, yes. I'm upset you're a Giants fan. Lesson by the fact that you aren't a Jets fan. Thank God to go above. And I say this, there's a silly reason why I'm a big Giants fan. I grew up in the Bronx in the 70s. And for a short time, the Giants played in Yankee Stadium. So the Giants were right by me. I went to go see a Giants game in Yankee Stadium. So it's kind of cool. So that was a cool thing, right? I was a little kid. I hardly remember any of it. I was a little kid. So, and of course, Yankee fan, because I literally grew up across the street from Yankee Stadium. So that's my reason. But yeah, I am. Absolutely. Yes. All right. Where was I? If I can do this. I've got my mom to vote LP in the last 2 elections. There we go. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Go for blockchain voting, skip voter ID. I would buy that, Adam, right? I mean, I think that's another way. At least we know that anybody can go in and view it. It is public by default, right? That's not bad. The only issue, of course, is you might know how everybody voted, which might be an issue because would that take away voter privacy? There'd be an issue with that, I guess, maybe. I'm not sure. But still, the idea is great. Yes, absolutely. It's great. Yes. Does voting even matter? I think the government knows who's going to win before we even vote. I hope you're wrong, Jesse, because if voting doesn't matter, what are we doing? I hope you're wrong. I really do. So people have a hard time with pen and paper. Blockchain will have to wait a bit. You know what? Let's move towards it. And it's decentralized anyway. Let's let individual states that want to try it. Let's let states try it and see if it works. Right? Is it no? Colorado does only mail-in voting. They like it. Well, now we can learn from them. Is it the right answer or not? So I get what you're saying. I'm just saying I think we should just let people do it, right? Let them try it if they want to. I think it's a wonderful idea. I think it's an absolutely wonderful idea. So, let's see here if I keep going. Who in DC is the anti-war party right now? Nobody. Absolutely. Biden will unite America. David, I hope he will. I hope you're right. And I mean that with sincerity. I do not mean that as a joke at all. I hope Biden will. What I saw tonight from Biden didn't impress me. I think he was goading Trump in a passive aggressive way, knowing that that's what would get him going, and that wasn't impressive, right? I wish he had done better in that one, but I hope he does. I really hope he does. So, and David does not like Cruz. He sucks. Most Democrats that I know, I'm not saying you're a Democrat. I don't know what your political affiliation is, but most Democrats hate Cruz. That's true, which is why he kind of copies that Trump side. Most Democrats I know hate Cruz. They do not like him at all. They hate him. Absolutely. So, see, someone got upset with me on live chat because they said if people love lockdowns, they should stay home. Self-lockdown. I love that idea. Absolutely. Self-lockdown. Yes. I do want fair elections, but this is honestly nothing more than a violent temper tantrum. Paul, yes, you're correct. Yes. That's what it is. That's what it looks like. Thank you. That's what it looks like. It's not becoming. It's not going to work. It's going to hurt. It's time to accept this battle's lost, move on. There's other battles to fight. There are other battles to fight. Absolutely. So, all right, guys, I want to say thank you so much for today. I really do. I appreciate so much that you guys are spending so much time and energy with me. I'm glad you're expressing what you care about, what you think. And a lot of places you really can't do that, right? You really can't do that. Brian, I'm grabbing real fast. I want to know why New York State changed the Libertarian Party to a non-vote eligible party, basically forcing you to switch parties to vote. Got switched to others less libertarian. The reason is New York State is blatantly corrupt. Yes, I'm dealing with corrupt elections in New York State, a one-party system. I feel your pain, Trump supporters. I feel your pain. Thank you, Brian, for bringing this up. And they decided to change the rules in the middle of the election cycle during COVID and now made us ineligible to be on the ballot. Yes, they decided that we don't have ballot access anymore. We are suing them, and I think we're going to win. I think we're going to get ballot access back. I think you will be able to be libertarian again. And here's the problem that I have. When we got ballot access in 2018 and became an official party, it took over a year for the Board of Election in New York State to allow you to be able to register libertarian. Over a year to easily do it on you had going through your the website or going through DMV or the physical forms or the old forms that didn't have Libertarian Party on them. Over a year to get that done. But after this election, within 3 weeks, there were letters going out, no more libertarians. Within 3 weeks. That's corruption. I deal with that every single year in my state. And no, I don't charge the Capitol because it doesn't work. The only thing that works is people like you, Brian, caring about this, telling your friends how bogus this is, announcing it here and every place else, winning hearts and minds is the way to change that. That's how we change it. That's how we counterattack. That's how we win the next battle. I hope I answered your question. Thank you for that. I think we will get back libertarian. It may take us a couple of months before we actually get an actual decision, but I think we'll be able to do so. I appreciate that so much. All right, guys. Thank you all so much. I had a guest scheduled for tonight. Clearly, I changed that. But I have a guest tomorrow, a guest who, by the way, was able to beat my governor, His Majesty King Andrew Cuomo II, in court. So, yes, oh, hail the king. So, that'll be interesting. I'll see you guys all tomorrow.